Do we really need to introduce Donald Trump? Well, he was a former reality TV show presenter and the 45th President of the United States. Trump is a fantastic example of what can be done with a lot of money. But where does all that money come from? And how does the ex-commander-in-chief spend his billions? Donald is now living the American dream entirely because of immigration. And yes, his grandfather was Frederick Trump before it was anglicized, and he neither had a high school certificate nor any exact money to his name. Despite having accumulated a wealth of $600,000, Friedrich managed to succeed after operating a few restaurants, pubs, and hotels in Canada during the gold rush era. Frederick returned to New York and started making real estate investments. We can say Donald Trump's enormous riches were undoubtedly a result of his grandfather's fortune. And for his billions, Donald can also credit his father, Fred Trump. In short, Fred was a very astute businessman who built up a real estate empire in several New York City boroughs that included 27,000 apartments and row houses. He also built apartments in Pennsylvania and Virginia for servicemen and women during World War II, and the first supermarket in the US, among many other things. Fred Trump had an accumulated net worth of $200 to $300 million at the time of his death in 1999. And that's the same as around $300 to $450 million today after adjusting for inflation. Trump's account of how he acquired his wealth does include his father. That was a businessman who knew how to succeed in the American marketplace. Although the age is not quite accurate, but according to Donald, his father gave him a tiny loan of $1 million, which he was able to grow into a multi-billion-dollar empire. And at the age of 8, the former president was already a millionaire. Going by the information published by the New York Times, at that time, Fred's business was already bringing in $200,000, and Donald was receiving more than $1 million annually from Fred after he graduated from college, which was proof that Trump received far more from his father than simply a $1 million loan. Financial records actually revealed that Donald earned a minimum of $413 million from his father's real estate expertise, and that his father also lent him at least an additional $140 million. We can say that everything Donald Trump has today is due to his father. At first, Trump intended to build low and middle class homes in New York City like his father, but he failed to explain that Fred is funding his endeavors with money from government programs. Trump eventually inherited a quarter of his father's business and utilized the $800 million he received to make investments in Manhattan. By the time he was prepared to play the same government funds game, the government had terminated the program, but his father had already loaned him to start in the real estate business. According to Business Insider, the Manhattan investment was a wise decision, given the fact that the average land price in Manhattan has increased by almost 6,000% since 1973. Trump began to transition from developing residential properties to showy ventures like the renowned Trump Towers on Fifth Avenue. He even started a casino business in Atlantic City after that. Although it may seem profitable, Trump's casino didn't perform as well as he would like us to believe. Trump has in fact experienced several mistakes and setbacks throughout his life, whether you believe it or not. In fact, he has been 6 times sued for Chapter 11 bankruptcy as a result of his firm's failure. Fortunately, the real estate paid off for him in the end, and the Trump Organization, which he alone owns, reported having $9.5 billion in revenue as at 2016. However, a few media sources caused a stir when they reported that Trump's public filing points to 2016 election were closer to between 600 and 700 million. And this isn't the first time that Trump has been discovered exaggerating numbers, or shall we say, exaggerating at all. While the presidential election in 2016, Trump claimed to have a net worth of $10 billion. Forbes and Bloomberg calculated that it was only worth 4.5 and 2.5 billion respectively. Before we discuss his renowned entertainment career and how a TV producer initially presented The Apprenticeship to him in the early 2000s, let's first talk about Trump's net worth, which Forbes projected to be $3 billion in October 2018. Trump wasn't really excited to join the showbiz because he disliked reality TV and thought that the genre was only for the underclass of society. The producer stated that even though the public already knew Trump at this point, it would provide Trump the opportunity to showcase himself, and "You're fired" became a well-known catchphrase after Donald Trump caved into the idea. Trump hosted the first 14 seasons of the show, which debuted in 2004 on NBC, until stepping out during his presidential campaign. While that would sound like a big compensation, according to a 92-page financial statement issued by Trump in 2015, he reportedly earned more than $213 million as the host of a reality show. The corporate tycoon had a significant stake in the initiative, which undoubtedly increased his compensation and many individuals firmly feel that Trump's appearance on the show contributed to his victory in the election. We now know that Trump's empire has grown, though it hasn't been as straightforward. While his position as a TV host may have persuaded viewers to support him in the presidential race, many others also considered his wealthy status. In accordance with the 2016 Declaration of Campaign Finances, Trump spent $66 million of his own funds to run his campaign. Although he bid to spend $100 million, we can only assume that he is now congratulating himself on such a remarkable return on his investment. The $192 million that Trump spent on conventional media and online advertising ended up being his largest campaign spend, thanks to contributions from private donors. We'd say keep those donations coming in until 2024. Let's talk about his personal aircrafts. According to reports, air travel was the second largest expense, accounting for up to $26 million. Even if that sounds enormous, we can only assume that by flying his own private plane, he was able to save some money on transportation. In case you were unaware, Trump has a collection of private aircraft that includes a corporate jet, 3 helicopters, and a commercial-sized airliner. The biggest one is his Boeing 757, which was valued at over $100 million in 2010. His Cessna jet was reportedly worth around $15.3 million. He most likely paid between $5 and $7 million for each of his 3 Sikorsky helicopters. Trump totally restored the interior of the Boeing 757 by adding a bedroom and a 24-karat gold fixtures, because it was so out of date. The 757 is a gas guzzler, according to the New York Times, and cost thousands of dollars per hour while in the air. But at the time Trump was a president, judging by how much he spent on his own fleet, he used Air Force One instead, and that helped to cut costs. You can guarantee that his surroundings are equally opulent. Even though he no longer resides in the White House, he has other properties, including the renowned Trump Tower on 5th Avenue. Additionally, Trump owns a 3-story fit-for-a-king penthouse on the building's 3rd floor that was designed by Angela Dongjia. The interior features marble floors, walls, and furniture with gold trim. It has frescoed ceilings throughout and a crystal chandelier. Even though Donald Trump maintains the flat is 33,000 square feet, the property is supposedly worth $64 to $100 million. According to Forbes, the entire penthouse is between 11,000 square feet. It appears that Trump owns a Beverly Hills home on Rodeo Drive with 5 bedrooms and an enviable zip code, but hardly ever uses it. Donald Trump is rumored to have paid $7 million in cash for the property back in 2007, and you can bet that he keeps staying in Trump's closet full of stylish attire. His favorite brand of suits doesn't come cheap. He is known to wear Italian-made Brioni suits, and each of these bad boys costs between $5,000 and $7,000. The business claims that Trump has been a potential client for years, and that all of his suits are made to order. To rise to Trump's level, you obviously need to have a lot of money. His wife Melania has costly tastes as well. Once she was seen in Sicily wearing a $51,300 flowery Dolce & Gabbana jacket. Trump and his wife like taking vacations, and they frequently travel for business. Also, most of the days were spent at his Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, Florida, and it is rumored to cost taxpayers anywhere between $1 and $3.6 million, depending on who you ask. Donald J. Trump claimed on Monday, 8th of August, that the FBI had searched his Palm Beach, Florida home and had forced open a safe. This admission marked a significant uptick in the number of investigations into the last months of his administration. Well, according to numerous people familiar with the investigation, the focus of the search appeared to be on items that Mr. Trump had bought to Mar-a-Lago, his exclusive club and home, after he left the White House. According to someone aware of their contents, those crates contain numerous pages of classified documents which he still has not returned. This breaches the Presidential Records Act, which poses as grounds for the FBI to get a warrant and conduct a raid. Thanks for watching.